All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday. It's Friday evening, and I decided, you know what? I want to record some content. I was feeling motivated. I've been drinking coffee and water. I'm down, 32 pounds. So why not? I'm feeling extra motivated. So guess what? I'm going to talk about why. I got 3 reasons why Natalya Neidhart, yes, ladies and gentlemen, Natalya Neidhart should defeat Ronda Rousey for the Smackdown Women's Championship. Coming up on this edition of Break It Down with Brian H.
No, baby, that's for somebody else. We're just gonna keep you right where you're at right now.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The Wrestling Realm presents Break It Down with Brian H.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this episode of Break It Down with Brian H. Keep it 100. I'm your host, Brian H. Waters. Now, like I said, I was sitting back thinking, I got some reasons I want to talk. I'm going to create some content. But before we get into that, let's give a shout out to all the people this week who got it through another week, So, this is going to be one of those episodes, as they say, I ain't going to be before you very long. But what I do want to let y'all know, make sure y'all check out a couple of things we worked on this week. It's been busy, we got Wrestling for the Culture. It returned. First time in a while since it's been on the road. First time since BlurCon last year, to be honest with you. I talked to Ariel Nix. So make sure you check out that episode right here on the Wrestling Realm YouTube channel. I also talked to Black Wrestling. They did the BRP 50, so you definitely want to check that out. And we did the Wrestling Room Now podcast this past week. It was we had a lot of fun. First time, since Black Wrestle Fest. Make sure y'all check that out. Also, make sure you check out all the content we putting on our social media channels. I promise you will not want to miss that. And I'm doing a giveaway, folks. So, before I get there, make sure you check out my interview with Brian Solomon, the guy who wrote the book about the original Sheik. Yes, he talks about the original Sheik. And what was very interesting about this is because the original Sheik wasn't breaking kayfabe. So Brian talked about all the research that he had to do. And it was a very good interview, good fun. I learned a lot about the original Sheik. I've been reading the book as well. So I've been getting an insight, a lot of time spent. So make sure y'all check out that interview. Now, about this giveaway on Twitter, I announced right on my page at Brian H. Waters. I'm doing a special giveaway. Y'all know Amber Rodriguez, and she would hate to say this, but I say call her my client. But I serve as her press agent and also her social media manager. So one of the things, and photographer. So we created this shirt. It's the Beetlejuice style shirt, special edition, limited edition. But you, the people, have an opportunity to win this shirt. Simply go on Twitter. Make sure you follow me at Brian H. Waters. Follow Amber Rodriguez at Amber Rodriguez and tag a friend. You do that, you have an opportunity to win this shirt. I will be sending this shirt out to you personally. So make sure y'all check that out, ladies and gentlemen. So want to support your local indies. That was one of the things we talked about on the BRP 50 episode of Wrestling for the Culture with Black Wrestling and We Love Wrestling. It's about supporting the wrestlers, especially the ones, as they come up. We love wrestling. And there's an opportunity to, watch people come from the ground up. So you get a chance to build with them. So make sure y'all check that out. So now for the show, 3 reasons why Natalya Neidhart should defeat Ronda Rousey. And y'all may say, what? What are you talking about? So my number 3 reason is simply this. Ronda Rousey has been champion before. She had the dominant reign where she was going through the whole roster, beating everybody. We've seen that before. Now, in my opinion, it's time to make her a regular part of the roster. You can't do that twice. It doesn't have the same shabazz. Doesn't have the same flair. So I think if she loses to Natalya, because it will, kind of help humble her, but make her a part of the roster. Eventually, Kurt Angle became a part of the roster. Y'all remember when Kurt Angle started, right? Olympic gold medalist. He didn't lose. He racked up the European and Intercontinental Championship, ended up losing both of them at WrestleMania. And, he probably had the greatest rookie season. And now you could say Ronda Rousey is in that category, especially because you know how fast she won the women's championship and everything. But I think it's time now. I do. I think it's time for Ronda to be amongst the women. We've seen it with Shayna Baszler. You remember when Shayna Baszler was dominating everybody, and the thought of Shayna Baszler losing just did not make any sense. So it's time. It's time for Ronda to, a little humble herself. And so I think this would be a perfect start. Number 2, I think it's time. The number 2 reason, simply because it shakes things up. It gives that feeling of anything can happen. And that's what I like when I watch wrestling. There are pay-per-views or premium live events for WWE's case where you kind of know what's going to happen. I was watching last night. I had on Battleground 2013, and the opening match was RVD versus Alberto Del Rio. Everybody in the arena and everybody at home that wasn't a child knew Alberto Del Rio was going to win the match. It was just, okay, how we was going to get there, how we was going to tell the story. Now, I understand sometimes you have to establish these opponents, but let's be real. Ronda is established. We know who she is. Natalya is a legend, a Hall of Famer, first ballot. Why not shock the world and have Natalya beat Ronda? So I think for that, oh, wow, this really just happened. It's time for that. Let's make it happen. Natalya beats Ronda Rousey. And then the number 1 reason that Brian H. Waters says, which if you ain't doing so, you can make sure you follow your boy on Twitter and follow us at Wrestling Realm. But the number 1 reason that Natalya should defeat Ronda Rousey is simply to solidify the legacy of Natalya Neidhart. Solidify the legacy right here. A victory over Ronda Rousey, somebody who is seen as unbeatable. You imagine if she makes her tap to the sharpshooter? Everything that you put Natalya through in the beginning doesn't matter anymore. The time when she had to do those farts, time she was putting over all the younger talent. You remember the Natalya that defeated Naomi at SummerSlam, who was so serious, and she went into that match and she was not to be denied? That is the Natalya that I want to see when it's time for her and Ronda Rousey to square off for the SmackDown Women's Championship. It's time to move forward. This is how you take the division seriously. But this is also one of the moments where you sit back and you're like, wow, that really just happened. You don't always have to do that with a younger talent, right? You do the shock factor with a Shotzi or a Raquel Rodriguez, people be talking about it. Why not do it with a veteran? Somebody who's given so much to this business, somebody who's given so much to this women's division, a true legend in wrestling, not just the women's division, but a true a legend in wrestling. It is time. Put the championship on Natalya Neidhart. It is time. Let's get another run. I'm ready for it. Let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think it's time? Because I'm ready for it. I'm ready to see Natalya. And it doesn't help that she's probably one of my top 5 favorite women's wrestlers of all time. That's a list. I'm going to write that down. I'll reveal that list one day. But it doesn't help. But I do think that Natalya doesn't always get the credit she deserves. And, she was somebody, me personally, I'm going to tell y'all, like, when I first discovered the website obsessedwithwrestling.com, and I was like, wait, Jim the Anvil has a daughter? Oh yeah, I'm about to follow her. I need to. So I would always like tap in to see what she was doing, see like her win-loss record. I didn't always like go on the website every day, but just like kind of familiar with her. So when she came to WWE, it was like a no-brainer. And that's how I'm usually the person, if I find out my favorite wrestlers have a child, I try to like keep an eye and root for them. Hence why like I wanted to root for DH Smith. It was like, yeah, because I was a huge Davey Boy Smith fan, when early Davey Boy Smith, not the one with the jeans, but the one, I know this might not be cool to say, the one with the braids. I was also a huge fan of Curtis Axel, because Mr. Perfect Mark. Spoiler alert for those who can watch MacMania, listen to MacMania. I'm gonna give you a quick spoiler. He's the number 5 person on my list of top 5. The rest will come on that show. You gotta check it out. But I was a huge Mr. Perfect Mark, so I rooted for him. Tried to root for Brian Pillman Jr. because I'm a Brian Pillman guy. You saw if you listen to the 6 through 10, Brian Pillman Sr. is in that list. So me being a huge fan of the Hart Foundation. Hart Foundation was my favorite tag team up until about a couple years ago. It became the Usos. I was rooting for Natalya. It was a no-brainer. So I want to see her win. You know, it's just like the NBA draft, right? I'm rooting for Scottie Pippen Jr. and Sharif O'Neal. They on the Lakers, but they also, Scottie Pippen was a legend. He's one of my guys because I was a Bulls fan at the time, and Shaq is Shaq. He's in my top 10. But I want to see what's going to happen. But ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. Let me know what you think. Drop it in the comments. Tell me who should, tell me if you disagree or agree with me. I personally think it's time. Shock the world, Natalya. I know it would be a short title reign, but it's Ronda Rousey. You could do something. If I'm booking, I'm having her win. Then I'm going to have Ronda Rousey turn heel, and then she'll get her belt back. Or, later down the line, but I want to see it right now. But ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for this episode. I'll break it down with Brian H. Make sure if you haven't done so, subscribe to our Patreon account. You can get early access on shows. You can also get early access, but you also get promo codes, and then you get the exclusive shows like Realness Reacts and Break It Down. I mean, you get Brian H. Waters Thoughts, where I give you quick thoughts on things. So make sure y'all check that out. I appreciate each and every one of you. I gotta give a shout out to Jay Bougie. Shout out to him for the shirt. I believe he's going for gold this weekend as usual. He's going to add to his collection. So make sure y'all check it out. And I'll just leave you with this. The tweet that went out from Dr. Britt Baker, you won. I agree with you 1,000,000%. Till the next time, folks. Too sweet. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Break It Down with Brian H. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell so you get notified every time the Wrestling Realm